After a heartbreaking loss in overtime last night that ended our four-game winning streak against the Milwaukee Bucks, the Chicago Bulls just have a tougher road ahead as we face the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic tonight. I'm your host, Joey Mercer. This is an episode of Bulls Digest, and before we get into it there today, I just want to say that 92% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so make sure to go down below if you watch these videos daily, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to reach 1,000 subs here. That's our next goal here on Bulls Digest. So if you aren't already subscribed, go down below, turn on notifications, and hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified as soon as we upload these videos. You won't have to search for these anymore. They'll be right there for you as soon as we upload. So without further ado, let's get into the first topic of today, and that is the tough road ahead. Yes, the Bulls do have a tough schedule coming up here now, and it's not going to get any easier, it doesn't seem like. We had a great win against the Milwaukee Bucks in overtime to start the four-game winning streak. Then we played the Pelicans, who are also a very solid team that we went ahead and beat. And then the third and fourth game were against the Hornets and Spurs, which we should have won, but really picked things up against the Spurs. I thought we were going to lose that game around halftime and finish things off in the fourth. DeMar played great at the end of that game, and he carried it into the Bucks where he had 41 points, and Kobe White still on that very hot streak where he put on 33 points against the Bucks last night. So the article that I'm actually citing for this is by Sports Illustrated, and it is titled saying, "The next set of games will indicate if the Chicago Bulls are for real or not. How the Bulls do in this next stretch of games may determine the path they take this season." And that's fair, because how quickly we are going to trade Zach Lavine is really dependent on this stretch of games and the amount of wins and the effort and how good the Bulls look without him, and they have looked great in my opinion. So we're probably going to be trying to make calls right away from the front office as soon as December 15th hits at that date as players become more available, and see if we can deal Zach Lavine right away. They're probably going to be holding on to Alex Caruso, obviously, with that great contract, and how teams are really going to try to get him. And Lavine seems to be the guy that they're just going to try to move right now and see how the team performs without him there. And whatever pieces we can get for him, we might be taking less value as each win, without Lavine is going to decrease his trade value just a little bit, and we'll see what we can get for him there, hopefully on the 15th of December, which is just around the corner. The next thing that I saw in the article was, could the recent four-game winning streak be the high point of the Chicago Bulls season? Or are they in for better things? The answer will be known soon as the Bulls embark on a tough stretch of games that will see them take on powerhouse squads for both the East and West. So it's interesting to see there. We actually have to face the Denver Nuggets, the reigning champs of course, and Nikola Jokic tonight. Then we have to face Jimmy Butler in the Heat twice and Joel Embiid, which we don't really have the resources to guard with Nikola Vucevic and not really a starting power forward or starting caliber power forward there next to him to kind of switch things up if we had to do something like that. The next thing I saw in the article was the reigning champs, which of course we're playing tonight, and there's no rest for the weary. Not long after taking on and losing to the Milwaukee Bucks in overtime, 133 to 129, the Bulls have the unenviable task of facing off against Nikola Jokic and the reigning NBA champions, Denver Nuggets. So, no rest at all. Not even 24 hours after that overtime loss to the Bucks, we're going right in and facing Nikola Jokic, and I'm expecting a lot of the players to look banged up. DeSumo didn't put up any stats last game, so maybe he will be a little bit more fresh. But yeah, it seems like we're going to have to really run some more bench minutes in this game, as I could see players getting very tired very early because there wasn't much rest after a very long game. And now you're going straight in against the reigning champs, who aren't good on the road, but it still is the reigning champion, Denver Nuggets, So that's not exactly a game that you can take for granted. We got to go in 100% effort right off the bat, and if we need to make subs, we make them, and the bench has got to be ready there to play and produce right away. Next thing I saw in the article was, though the Nuggets have struggled on the road, going just 6-8 so far this season, the team still poses a tough matchup for the Bulls, especially with Jokic rediscovering his shooting touch in their 129 to 122 win over the Atlanta Hawks on Monday. The game versus the Nuggets is just the tip of the iceberg, as the Bulls will have to take on Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat twice before battling reigning MVP Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. So yeah, it's not looking any easier, as I've already mentioned. And Jokic looked like he was having a bit of a slump with 2 games where he shot like 9 of 22 and 9 of something. He was shooting over 20 shots, hitting 9 in both of those games, and not really looking himself. But of course, as mentioned there that I just cited, against the Hawks, he looked back to himself, and maybe he can carry that on against the Bulls. But for our case, hopefully not, and hopefully he struggles again, and we can seal another victory, as the Bulls are just outside of a play-in right now and look pretty good as of late. I mean, this is the best basketball they've played all season over the past 5 games, and I really look forward to watching them play there tonight. The next thing that we're going to talk about, next topic we're going to get into there today, is that are they up for the challenge? Are the Bulls going to be up for the schedule ahead? We're actually going to take a look at each game there now in a second and see exactly who they have to face off against. We already mentioned 3 teams, being the Nuggets tonight, the Heat twice, and the Philadelphia 76ers, but who else is in there in that mix? Well, actually, the mix that we have to face off against is Milwaukee, of course, that we played against there last night. And tonight we have to play against Denver, and then Miami twice, Philly, and then the Lakers. We got to face off against AD and LeBron James. The big men that we have to face off against are not easy. I mean, we already faced off against Giannis, Brook Lopez, then it's Jokic, then it's Bam 2 nights in a row. Well, 2 games in a row. You got a 1 game break in between there, 1 day, sorry. Then the 76ers and Joel Embiid, and then it doesn't get any easier. There's barely any rest in between there, as we only have 4 rest days in between for the next 7 games. So it's not looking too great. Really need to get the bench involved here, I think, to kind of let the starters not get so gassed early and not really have things as it goes down the stretch. We're going to need them as much as possible in the fourth quarter. And as I mentioned there from KC Johnson, Alex Caruso's ankle injury, he's not there. He wasn't there against the Bucks, and we still, pushed it to overtime. So the Bulls are really playing great lately, and hopefully the bench can continue to produce as they have, and we can see a little bit more out of Dosunmu tonight and for the next 5 or 6 games, so that we can really try to push teams to their limit and at least put up a fight. I don't want to see any blowouts throughout this, although it is a really rough schedule over the next little bit. But it is what it is. We'll try to do with the best that we have. Injuries happen in basketball, and that's why you have to have a bench in order to come in for those guys. And I think the bench has really performed and stepped up, and that's what you really like to see. Like Kobe White, who wasn't on the bench but has stepped up in Zach LaVine's absence, and I want to see Dosunmu do the same in replace of Caruso, as well as Javon Carter if Dosunmu is not filling that role perfectly. The next thing that I saw was veteran wingman DeMar DeRozan said the 4-game winning streak allowed the team to build more chemistry and get on the same page. After a miserable start to the season that included a string of games where they lost 8 of 9, the Bulls have come together, rediscovering their brand of basketball and becoming a team that should not just be a footnote in the NBA season. And they have been very competitive over the past 5 games. I mean, you can't argue that. The team has come within 4 points once with the Milwaukee Bucks in a loss, and every other game they've won. The team has looked absolutely great since Zach LaVine's gone down with an injury. I don't want to see anybody get injured, but it just happens to be since that it's really sparked something under the team that they need to step up the rest of them with a star player out and perform, and they've done just that. The next thing that I saw was DeRozan saying, "We've come together. We dropped this one tonight. It was tough. We understand it's all about the way you compete. We lost, but we all competed. Couple of calls didn't go our way. Just have another challenge and face another good team. Tuesday against Denver, of course." Professional there from DeRozan. Calls don't always go your way, and that can happen down the stretch. But it was a really close game, and everybody did compete, and I like that he acknowledged that even the bench did good. And everybody played so great in that game against Milwaukee. Even if it's a loss, I think it's one of the better games that we played this season. Last thing I saw was, of course, the graphic from DeMar with his first 40 piece of the season. He shot 14 of 30, just below 50% there, but he was great in this game. 11 assists again. His playmaking, although his field goal percentage has been down this season, has been the best I've seen with DeRozan in a Bulls jersey, and probably the best of his career. I know he got a little bit going there with the Spurs, but I think this is at a much higher rate. And 41 points. I mean, what else do you want from DeMar DeRozan? That's all you can expect from him. And he played phenomenal as well as Kobe White last night. And hopefully 2 of those guys can carry their hot streaks into this game tonight against the Denver Nuggets. I'm your host, Joey Mercer. This has been Bulls Digest. Make sure to go down below, like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. I love hearing from you guys, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Sign off.